because you wrote something in May 14, 2020 about the COVID-19, and you just talked about it here right now, saying every Sunday we get together with the family in Pittsburgh. We're right next to each other. We have dinner, et cetera, even during COVID. So that means you have more than 10 people in the house if you're doing that. Here's what you wrote.
21 people in violation of the governor's order. That's right.
So I'm going to read this, and I'm going to turn it over to you where you can share your thoughts on this. As a physician specializing in forensic pathology, I'm only going to read 2 paragraphs, not the whole thing. I am well aware of the importance of preventative healthcare measures and the tragedy of death. And every one of the 21,000 autopsies that I've performed in the last 63 years, I've always thought about the descendant's life and what the significance of that death is likely to have been to the family, friends, and society. However, at the same time, as a sensitive and caring human being, husband, father, and grandparent, I'm also very much aware of what it means to be alive, enjoying, appreciating, being with the family and friends. Accordingly, I am rather puzzled by the limited amount of coverage that I have noted in the 4 daily newspapers that I receive regarding what regarding what the effects are among the living as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and what I consider to be the degree of hysteria and panic that has developed in association with the viral phenomenon.
That's right.
Can you unpack that for the rest of us?
Yes. In today's New York Times, there's a report about a 24% increase in mental health problems among children between the ages of 5 and 11 since this COVID lockdown. Child abuse cases physically have risen. Drug abuse deaths have risen. Suicides have risen. And that's before, in domestic situations, you can imagine being locked up as a woman with a brute for a husband and a father with the children for 9 months, what that must be like. Think of all the millions of lives that have been destroyed, the thousands of people who line up in their cars to get a box of food, millions of children going to bed hungry every day, and so on. Think about it. Those numbers of morbidity and mortality far exceed the number of people who have died from COVID. And the number of people who have died from COVID, that number is vastly inflated. When you die in a hospital and you have strokes and multiple myocardial infarctions, heart attacks, metastatic tumor, and so on, but then you acquire COVID in the final days, they sign your death out as COVID. I do not believe the lockdowns for people under the age of 60, and certainly in among children at elementary and high school and college and postgraduate level, should have been done. I think that should not have occurred. People who needed protection should have gotten the utmost degree of protection in nursing homes, elderly, disabled, people who suffer from chronic ailments and so on. These people have to be very careful indeed, and they have to be the recipients of the best possible care and preventive medical measures that can be undertaken. But to have locked down, as we have done, and the lives that have been destroyed, the fortunes that have been lost, and this is going to be played out. We haven't seen the end of this yet. I think this is far, far in excess. I think that a great degree of panic and hysteria set in. The situation also became markedly politicized, and putting those together, and you have the debacle of the great tragedies that exist today.
Now, I think it's important for the audience to know and you may correct me on this. Are you a registered independent or registered Democrat?
I'm a registered Democrat.
You're a registered Democrat, and you're saying this, so it's not like you're giving a political message. You're just giving
exactly right. I'm not a Trump.
Right. That's the point. Because, and by the way, have you had COVID yet yourself, or no?
No, I'm getting a vaccine next week because I do coroner work, autopsies. No, I haven't.
Why are you not scared? Why are you not scared? You're having dinner with 30 family members. How come you're not concerned about it?
No, it's not that, I'm brazen and bold. When I go into a store where I have to wear a mask, I do. But, I don't wear a mask here in my office. I don't wear a mask when our family of 21 gets together. We don't sit there with masks and so on. And I said 2 of my kids are doctors and so on. I don't know. Everybody has to deal with it the way that they feel they're comfortable with. The mask brigaders, as I call them, fine. They want to save lives. Somehow they are totally unmindful of all the lives that they are costing because of their very zealot endeavors.
Do you agree with Anthony Fauci's approach to COVID and the lockdowns and shutdowns and shutting down of the schools, et cetera, or would you have a different perspective than what Fauci's done?
No, I admire and respect Dr. Fauci, whom I met with many years ago at a private dinner in Washington, D.C., through a mutual friend and so on. I think he's a great man. However, I disagree, as I've already said, with these total lockdowns. And by the way, I'm not alone. There are a lot of scientific studies. I just read one from Israel, signed off by 100 top scientists, including Nobel laureates and so on. And a lot of people who are questioning these things about the mask and the lockdowns and so on. We have to deal with these things. We dealt with AIDS and Ebola and Zika, and we're dealing with flu and so on. The death rate from flu and pneumonia every year exceeds the death rate from COVID. You deal with these things. And Patrick, we're going to have other regrettable epidemics like this. They're going to be, you think this is the end? No more will there be viruses, whether they come from China or elsewhere? No, of course. It's going to happen again. So what, are you going to keep closing down society? Then let's pack up the world and go off to Mars.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.